The movie opens in a grim and chilling tone. A declaration from the East India Trading Company echoes across the land. Martial law has been imposed, and all who are associated with piracy are to be executed without trial. The film cuts to Port Royal, where prisoners, including men, women, and even children, are marched to the gallows. Among them is a small boy. As he prepares to be hanged, he quietly begins to sing a haunting tune. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. His voice is soft, yet filled with defiance. Slowly, others begin to join in. Their voices unite. This song isn't just a shanty. It's a signal, a code passed down among pirates. The Brethren Court must convene. The pirate lords are being summoned. Meanwhile, far from this place of death, Elizabeth Swann, Barbassa, and will Turner arrive in Singapore under the cover of night. Their goal is to acquire a ship and the mystical navigational charts that will guide them to Davy Jones's locker, the eerie realm where Jack Sparrow is trapped after being devoured by the Kraken. The trio makes contact with Captain Swann, the pirate lord of the South China Sea. They're led into his dark, steamy bathhouse, where the atmosphere is tense and suspicious. Fong, surrounded by guards, accuses them of betrayal. Negotiations break down when the East India Company suddenly raids the place. Gunfire erupts. Swords clash in the misty corridors. Chaos reigns. Amid the fight, Barbassa reveals his presence, much to Sawfeng's shock, and the pirates manage to escape with the maps they need. With their newly acquired charts, the crew sets sail aboard a reclaimed ship. The charts, filled with mystical symbols and riddles, guide them to the world's edge, literally. The sea becomes strange, almost sentient. The water turns glassy. Time and space seem distorted. In the final moments before plunging over the edge, the Black Pearl tilts and crashes into the abyss. Cut to Jack Sparrow. Alone. He's not dead, but he's somewhere beyond death, Davy Jones's locker. Jack is aboard the Black Pearl, drifting through a vast, white desert. There is no crew, only hallucinations. Jack sees dozens of versions of himself, each embodying a different aspect of his fractured personality. One Jack stabs another. One lectures himself. He is cracking under the weight of isolation, guilt, and the curse of immortality that always eludes him. He pushes the pearl across the sand, speaking to himself, losing grip on reality. Then he sees something, a distant glimmer of water. As he touches it, the ship slowly begins to float again. He's still marooned, but not for long. Back in the real world, Barbassa, Will, Elizabeth, Tia Dalma, and the crew decipher the charts and find the right passage. They reach the edge of the world, where the ocean ends abruptly. Using a technique known as sailing upside down, they wait until the sunset and flip the ship, literally inverting themselves to reverse the realm. The sea flips, and suddenly, they are pulled into the locker. They find Jack, confused but very much alive, and after some arguments and threats, they retrieve him. Together, they must now escape the locker. But time is running out. The ocean is closing behind them. Guided by the charts and celestial clues, they set sail toward a green flash on the horizon, the gateway back to the living world. They time their exit precisely. As the sun sets, the crew rocks the ship back upside down. Everything turns surreal. The ship flips, gravity vanishes, and suddenly they burst back into the real ocean. The Black Pearl is afloat once more. But they are not safe yet. On board the ship, trust begins to fracture. Will is secretly plotting to free his father, Bootstrap Bill Turner, who remains bound in servitude aboard the Flying Dutchman. Elizabeth is burdened by guilt, having tricked Jack into facing the Kraken in the previous film. Barbassa, ever the opportunist, reveals that Jack holds one of the 9 pieces of 8 talismans required to summon the Brethren Court of Pirate Lords. And Tia Dalma, the mysterious witch, hints that she was once the sea goddess Calypso, betrayed and bound in human form by those same pirate lords. Meanwhile, Lord Cutler Beckett now commands the seas. He has captured the heart of Davy Jones, literally, the still-beating heart sealed in a chest, giving him complete control over Jones and the Flying Dutchman. Beckett uses this power to unleash Davy Jones upon pirate ships across the ocean, destroying them mercilessly. The seas have turned into a battlefield. Beckett is not just hunting pirates, he's erasing them from existence. But Beckett's grip on Jones is fragile. Davy Jones is no longer a free captain. He resents his own subjugation and loathes Beckett. However, as long as his heart is in that chest, he cannot rebel. To fight back, Barbassa insists they must call the Brethren Court. All 9 pirate lords must unite. There they can vote to unleash Calypso, who could restore balance to the seas. However, there's a catch. One of the pirate lords is Jack Sparrow, and he never named a successor before dying. With him back, the council is finally complete. On the way to Shipwreck Cove, the pirate stronghold where the court convenes, the Black Pearl is ambushed by Swann, who is now allied with Beckett. A vicious battle ensues. Swann captures Elizabeth, mistakenly believing she is the human form of Calypso. He gives her command of his ship, the Empress, before dying during an attack. Elizabeth becomes a pirate lord by inheritance and continues sailing toward Shipwreck Cove. While captured by Swann, bargains with Beckett, offering to bring Jack to him in exchange for his father's freedom. But Beckett has no intention of keeping promises. He wants Jack dead and the heart of Davy Jones untouched. Will plays a dangerous game, walking the line between loyalty, betrayal, and desperation. Meanwhile, Jack, ever clever and unpredictable, allows himself to be taken aboard Beckett's ship. His true goal? To negotiate directly and confuse everyone in the process. Jack suggests to Beckett that if he allows pirates to unite, they'll become an even greater threat. He also plants seeds of doubt between Beckett and Jones, manipulating them both. Jack's real agenda remains hidden. At Shipwreck Cove, the Brethren Court gathers, all 9 pirate lords from across the globe. The scene is grand and chaotic, filled with exotic captains, bickering egos, and old rivalries. Barbossa demands they free Calypso to fight the East India Company, but others refuse. They fear her unpredictability. The court is deadlocked until Jack casts his vote for war. He surprises everyone. But in truth, Jack isn't moved by patriotism. He wants to kill Davy Jones and take over the Flying Dutchman, thus escaping death once and for all. With the vote passed, the pirates prepare for battle. Before sailing, Barbossa leads a secret ritual to release Calypso. Using the tension rises as the Brethren Court, composed of the 9 pirate lords from across the 7 seas, finally assembles at Shipwreck Cove. Inside a massive stone fortress, surrounded by wrecked ships that form the stronghold, the court is in disarray. No one can agree on how to fight back against Lord Beckett and the East India Trading Company. Barbossa, now revealed as the pirate lord of the Caspian Sea, believes the only way to counter Beckett's power is by releasing Calypso, the sea goddess trapped in human form, to unleash the fury of the sea. But the court resists. Pirates don't trust gods, and releasing Calypso may be trading one enemy for another. Surprisingly, Jack Sparrow casts the deciding vote in favor of war. Not out of loyalty to the pirate cause, but because in war, Davy Jones will likely appear, giving Jack a chance to stab his heart and claim control of the Flying Dutchman, becoming immortal and free from death forever. Meanwhile, Lord Beckett has grown arrogant. With the Flying Dutchman under his control, and Davy Jones bound by his will through possession of his heart, Beckett believes himself invincible. He commands Jones to destroy all pirate ships and eliminate piracy from the seas forever. But there is growing tension between Beckett and Jones. Though enslaved, Jones hates being a pawn. He yearns to reclaim control of his ship, his purpose, and his vengeance. On board the Dutchman, Will Turner's father, Bootstrap Bill, is slowly losing his mind. The longer one serves on the cursed vessel, the more they lose their humanity. His skin is peeling, merging with the ship. He begins forgetting who he is, barely recognizing his own son. Will is desperate. He knows time is running out. Back at Shipwreck Cove, Barbossa leads a secret ritual to release Calypso. He collects the pieces of 8, not real coins, but random trinkets each pirate lord possessed when she was bound. With dramatic chants and a thunderous ceremony, he breaks the enchantment imprisoning her. Calypso transforms into a violent storm of crabs and water. Her form expands, rising into a tower of oceanic fury. She laughs in rage, furious at Davy Jones's betrayal. But when Barbossa pleads for her help against Beckett, she refuses. She will not be used again. Instead, she vanishes into the sea, conjuring an enormous maelstrom, a spiraling whirlpool in the middle of the ocean. It is a display of raw, divine power, and her only response to centuries of imprisonment. Now the final battle begins. The Black Pearl and the Flying Dutchman meet at the edge of the maelstrom. The sky darkens. Rain pours down. Thunder shakes the sea. The whirlpool begins to churn violently, drawing both ships into its chaos. The crews prepare for war. On the Pearl, Elizabeth is now a pirate lord and, thanks to Sawfang's dying command, also captain. She rallies the crew with a passionate speech. "You will listen to me. Listen. The Brethren will stand united. Across the maelstrom, on the Dutchman, Davy Jones readies his monstrous crew. His tentacles slither across his face. His eyes burn with hatred. His ship is faster, stronger, and more ruthless. Yet the Pearl is unpredictable, driven by the heart of rebellion. The two ships dive into battle, circling the vortex, cannons roaring, masts breaking, sails shredded. Jack Sparrow and Barbassa argue and laugh in the middle of gunfire. Amid this chaos, love finds its voice. On the deck, Will and Elizabeth, drenched in blood and rain, realize this could be their last moment together. They ask Barbassa, in the middle of the fight, to marry them. He obliges, speaking the vows loudly as he parries sword strikes and commands cannon fire. They kiss passionately as explosions rage around them. It is absurd. It is beautiful. It is very pirate. Meanwhile, Jack catapults himself from one ship to the other using a cannon and a rope. He lands on the Dutchman, sneaking into the captain's cabin, where the chest containing Davy Jones's heart is locked away. He opens it. The heart pulses, exposed. Jack raises his blade, but he hesitates, not out of mercy, but calculation. He wants to live forever. But before he can act, Davy Jones appears and attacks him. A brutal sword fight ensues, high atop the Dutchman's masts. Jack's wit and agility clash against Jones's raw, cursed power. Sparks fly. Wood splinters. Lightning flashes. Will joins the fight, but is quickly overpowered. In a cruel and sudden moment, Davy Jones impales Will with his sword, piercing his heart. Elizabeth screams in horror, rushing to her husband. Will collapses, blood flowing. Time freezes. Jack sees everything. He realizes the moment has come, but not for himself. He moves quickly. With Will's hand, Jack guides the sword into the chest. Will stabs the heart. Davy Jones gasps. He stares at the wound in disbelief. As he dies, he whispers, "Calypso," and falls into the heart of the maelstrom. The curse now transfers. Will becomes the new captain of the Flying Dutchman. The ship descends briefly beneath the sea, disappearing into the swirling chaos. Elizabeth holds Will's lifeless body on the deck of the Pearl, crying. Suddenly, the Dutchman rises again, reborn, cleansed. Will stands at its helm, his wounds gone. The cursed crew has transformed back into human form, no longer monsters of the sea. At that moment, the tide of the war turns. Lord Beckett, aboard his enormous warship the Endeavour, watches in disbelief. The Dutchman sails alongside the Black Pearl, both ships now united. Beckett's officers panic. They await his command. But Beckett, stunned and speechless, says nothing. The Pearl and the Dutchman unleash a simultaneous barrage of cannon fire. The Endeavour explodes from all sides. Flames rip through its decks. Men jump overboard. Beckett walks slowly across the collapsing ship, still in shock, as debris falls around him. The ship is torn apart in a fiery inferno. Beckett perishes, consumed by the very power he thought he controlled. With Beckett gone and the Dutchman no longer cursed, the East India Fleet retreats. The pirates are victorious. The sea is free again. But peace comes at a price. Will, bound by the curse of the Dutchman, must ferry souls lost at sea for eternity. He can only return to land once every 10 years. Before departing, he shares a heartbreaking farewell with Elizabeth. They embrace, and he entrusts her with the chest containing his heart, his literal heart. He steps onto the Dutchman and vanishes into the mist. Elizabeth, now alone, walks away with the weight of both love and sacrifice. She is no longer a royal, nor just a pirate. She is something more, a legend. Barbassa, of course, seizes the moment. He steals the Black Pearl from Jack once again, taking the ship and leaving Jack with only a tiny rowboat. But Jack isn't defeated. He still has Sawfang's magical charts, and he sets his sights on a new legend, the Fountain of Youth. With compass in hand and mischief in his eyes, Jack Sparrow sails into the horizon once again, laughing at the world and its rules. In a mid-credits scene, 10 years later, Elizabeth stands with her young son on a cliff. The green flash, a mythical sign, lights up the ocean. The Flying Dutchman emerges from the sea. Will Turner has returned. Hope, like the sea, always comes back,